So, a couple of days back, Microsoft dropped something called Microsoft Mesh. And what it is, it's just a platform that developers can use to make their apps using the power of mixed reality. And it's about to change everything. But before we talk about why mixed reality is so important and why it's going to change everything, we've got to understand what it is. And to understand what it is, we have to talk about virtual reality. Now, you might think of virtual reality as what you've seen on TV with the fancy headsets and the futuristic sci fi things. Is that right? Well, I want you to just think about it for a second. Just open that laptop that's sitting there, or your PC, or your Mac, for example. Just open it up. What is that home screen called? It's called a desktop, isn't it? And then on that desktop, you've got folders. In those folders, you have files. Files that you can move from here and there. You can open them up. You can create documents. You can cut and paste from those documents. You can make copies of those documents. Everything that you could do in your office, you can now do on your computer. It's almost as if they were trying to make a virtual world for you to do all your productivity stuff in. What if you click on a game? Transports you to this alien world where you play with other people. Sometimes those other people are computer generated and sometimes they're real people. Nowadays we play multiplayer games all the time. So would it be fair to say that you were in your office and then you opened a door where you went outside and played with your friends? What if you wanted to explore a part of the world? What if you opened Google Street View and explored somewhere down your street to see, oh, where was that house again? Was it near that? I don't feel like getting out. You know what? I'll just use Google Street Maps and find that house. Was there a nice little park over there? I don't know. Let me look. So now you've left your office environment and you're cruising down your street without having ever gotten off your PC or your laptop. Are you sure you haven't tried virtual reality yet? I think you have. I think we've all been in virtual reality for the past couple of decades. I think it's fair to say that the only thing that's different from your perception of what virtual reality is supposed to be and what it really is this 2D screen that you're watching me on right now. The only difference is the way it's been presented to you. So when you think of virtual reality and those headsets, the only function that headset serves is to transport you completely to another world. That is to say, to fill your visual senses with this virtual world that you can interact with, but it's no different in principle than interacting with your desktop on your laptop or PC. So now it's getting to the point where we can maybe make a distinction, right? On the one hand, we've got the physical world. Everything around me, your keyboard, your coffee mug, these curtains, everything is the physical world. That's on one end over here. On the other end, you've got the digital world or the virtual world. Everything to do with the internet, what's inside your PC or laptop, whatever device you may be using, all of that together is the virtual world, right? Somewhere between that lies a spectrum. And you could be on either end of the spectrum. You could be completely in the physical world or you can be completely in the virtual world. That spectrum between these two worlds, that's mixed reality. Allow me to explain. Between the physical and the virtual world is something called augmented reality. You might have seen this as well. You've got lots of apps on either Google or iOS App Store that allow you to see the world slightly differently. And what augmented reality is basically taking some of that information from the internet or in the digital space and superimposing it on the world. And here's the important differentiator. You don't just put it as an image on top of the world. It's not just a readout that you see. It's not just numbers that you see randomly floating. No, it has to be contextual. What if you're using Google Maps, except that the augmented reality app would light up part of the road that you need to take, light up that right exit that you need to take or the lane you need to be in so you can steer easily. It makes sense. It's contextualized and it is superimposed on the world as if it were actually there, which means it makes sense to you. It's not just flying and floating somewhere in the air. It's taking into account the real world surfaces around you and placing the information in a way that makes sense to your human brain that's used to the physical world for so long. That, my friend, is augmented reality. A lot of the things you do in real life are interacting with the physical world, and a lot of the things you do in virtual reality are interacting with things that are purely virtual. Now imagine for a second, you are in your living room. You put on your little virtual reality headset, or your mixed reality headset, I should say, and suddenly across the couch is your coworker. He's not really there. He's maybe halfway across the world, but he's got his avatar over there, or maybe a 3D projection of his actual body, and you start discussing work. And then he says, you know what? Let me show you what I've been working on. There's a little prototype. I need your help on this. And then he pulls up a 3D prototype and it's displayed on the table in front of you. Both of you then move in, take a closer look, magnify it, turn it around, tweak something, change a few details. All from the confines of your home with the comfort of sitting on your couch. But that information is displayed to you contextually and taking into consideration your actual physical surroundings. Basically, it brings the virtual world right in front of you and puts it on your physical world as if it were really there, to fool your brain into believing that it was really there. Except both the things you're interacting with, your coworker and the 3D item that he's brought up, both of them are virtual. This, my friends, is mixed reality. So in the beginning of the video, I did mention that mixed reality is going to change everything very ominously. Well, why do I say that? Well, let's have a think about this. Let's just have a think about this very carefully. You've got your desktop, right? It's all cluttered. It's got your computer. It's got a notebook. It's got a whole bunch of things, a clutter of things. Imagine sweeping all that aside and just having one set of augmented reality or mixed reality headsets. Now you might think, okay, these headsets are big and bulky. Maybe I don't want to use them. And you're right. This is quite possibly one of the biggest deterrents for people from using this sort of technology. But bear in mind that all of this technology gets miniaturized in the future. Google's been working on its Google Lens for quite a while. They had their Google Glasses prototype that did work to some extent or the other. And there's no reason to believe that something like that might not come back in the future. So imagine if all that desktop space is freed up for just a pair of glasses that you put on or a contact lens that you put on, and you've got everything available to you in a world that is post 2020, where people are used to staying at home maybe a little more, are used to maybe not taking long business trips when they can be spending time with family, where businesses are getting used to not having to pay for flight tickets. You combine that with the fact that urban areas are being cluttered up, with the fact that people are living in smaller and smaller apartments every day. It's happening in every major city in the world. In that sort of world, with limited space, you want to declutter your life as much as possible. That is why mixed reality is about to change everything.